Wow, a video that actually addresses communities that have problems with kids making addictive content in them. I sure hope the people who are making these videos, who are very clearly older, treat this topic with responsibility and don't incite harassment towards these kids. When it comes to the topic of hate content, especially in places like the gacha or the emojicat community, I feel like a lot of people seem to have this mindset that the people making these videos are bad people who don't deserve any respect. However, that's not a good mindset to have, and I'll go on to that in this video. Now, when people make these types of videos, they're usually older, usually adults from what I'm seeing, and the thing is, you're an adult and you're making videos about kids who are very clearly, vulnerable and, don't know that what they're doing is wrong. Yeah, that's kind of weird, man. However, it's not the video making that's the problem, rather how they handle the topic itself. You see, a lot of these people love to incite harassment towards these kids who don't know what they're doing. And these people don't actually go into why this is an issue. They just think that it's an issue because it's icky. And yes, that's a perfectly valid reason as to why you don't like this type of content. However, that's not the only thing we should be focusing on. When these videos are made, I've seen a lot of people sending hate comments to these kids. Now, I'm not trying to defend this type of content or anything. I just had to preface that first. But the people making these types of content are also kids. I think the question that we need to be asking here is, why are they making this type of content in the first place? And to that, there's actually a very simple answer. Now, let's delve into a bit of psychology here. You see, when kids are young, their brains are going to be really malleable. They don't know what's right or wrong yet, and they've basically just experienced the world for the first time. Please keep this in mind as it is important later. Now, when you give a child internet access, obviously, since they're curious, they're going to want to search for as much content as they can. And this is going to lead to, you guessed it, kids stumbling onto 18 plus content. Now, when kids stumble onto this type of content, they're going to think, wow, this is cool actually. Because the thing is, when they see something interesting or something that entices them, they don't actually think about if it's like appropriate for them to be consuming this. They just think, wow, it's cool. It's cool. And you see, when kids find something that entices them, they're going to want to recreate it because, kids usually do that. Kids are curious. They're very impressionable, so they're going to try and recreate this. And this is usually what leads to COCSA. However, they can go down another path that's easily as bad, making this type of content and exposing it to other kids. They'll make stuff like it and post it because they just think it's cool and interesting, and they're going to want to show this type of content to other people because they think that they'll find it cool and interesting as well. This is also where people mess up in handling this topic, because then people are going to send hate comments to this person. They're going to send hate comments to the kid. They're going to harass the kid, and I think you guys fail to realize this is doing the exact opposite of what you want it to do. I want to remind everyone that kids don't know what's right or wrong yet. They don't know that what they're doing is wrong, and so obviously they're going to keep doing it. And if harassing them is not the right way to tell them that this is wrong. Sending hate comments to these kids or even just making videos bashing on them is not the right way to go about this topic. This also falls into another problem that I have. Predators. You see, predators will go after literally anyone who is a child. That's why you see so many grooming cases in the animation community or the gacha community, because these communities are mainly filled with kids and adults use it to their advantage. But what does that have to do with the point I made earlier, you might ask? Well, the thing is, when you send hate or harassment towards a kid that doesn't know what they're doing is wrong, that kid will most likely be really stressed out as they do not know how to deal with the situation properly. And as a result, this makes them an easy target for predators. Predators usually go after vulnerable children, ones that are being harassed, ones that don't know what they're doing is wrong. And what you're doing here is you're letting this predator get into contact with this child who doesn't know what they're doing is wrong. And this predator is most likely going to groom this kid into thinking that what they're doing is actually okay and stuff. You see now, sending hate and making videos bashing people who make this type of content isn't doing anything. It's having the exact opposite effect of what you want it to do. You cannot just expect a single hate comment to instantly reform the kid. If you want this issue to actually be prevented, if you want to do something about this issue, then stop making videos bashing on these kids. Stop enticing harassment towards them. Now you might be asking, "Oh, but then what can we do to prevent this?" And it's really easy actually. Educate them. Yes, children's brains are still malleable, so they're going to be exposed to content that they shouldn't be seeing, which is going to reform their brain. However, we can also educate them. When it comes to topics like this, you have to be calm and patient with the kid that you are trying to educate. Lashing out at them isn't going to do any good, it's just going to make the issue worse. And if they don't listen, then that's perfectly natural. That's to be expected. Kids don't listen to people all the time. However, that does not mean that you should just leave them alone. That's obviously not a good thing to do. Rather, you should just report the channel and try to get it taken down. Now, let's move on to my conclusion. In conclusion, I believe that we should just be educating these people. Now, we shouldn't be excusing them, but we also shouldn't be shaming them either. We should not be blaming them. However, we should blame the people that exposed them to this type of content in the first place. And usually, it's the parents. And that's all for today. Bye, everyone.